everyone, I'm Priya, and today we'll be talking about port authentication using Radius Server. So in the previous video, we have seen how to do a basic management authentication using Takax and ClearPost Policy Manager. So in this video, I'll take you through port authentication. So this port authentication is done for the end client devices, let's say your phone or your access point or laptop, and we will see how to configure them. So before we get into configuration, we'll have to know where we are doing this and where we are implementing all this configuration. So for that, it is very important to know about the topology. So this is my campus core network, and here I have my standalone switches like 4100. So this is where I have N clients. I also have few clients in my VSF stack, but I am planning to implement the Radius server configurations only on these three switches. So now we will be trying to implement the Radius configurations on 6400. So which has a laptop connected to it. So before you start the configurations, make sure you have the MAC address of the laptop. So now let's jump into the configurations of both the switch and ClearPass. So now I'm logged in inside my ClearPass Policy Manager. And before you do any sort of configurations, you first have to add a local user. So this local user will be the MAC address of your device. So I am adding a local user here. So I'm just adding the MAC address of this device, and I've also kept the name as same. It's up to you to even change the name. And password and the verify password tabs, both of these will be the same MAC address. So ensure you give the correct MAC address of the end clients. And in the role, you can choose it as other and just add this device. So you can see that this device is added now. So once the device is added, we'll have to check for the services. So I'll go into the services tab here and get into the mac-auth get service. So this is how I've configured my service. I have already configured this in prior. So just to show you how I've configured this. So I have given a name for my service and just told it as the Mac-based authentication service, because we already did a management based authentication, and now we are doing a port authentication. So just you have to mention it as Mac-based authentication service or any description of your choice. And I have given the status as enabled. I have not switched on the monitor mode. And here in authentication sources, as we already saw in the last video, it is the local user repository from where the devices have to be authenticated. So that is why we have added the local user as the first task before we configure any Radius server configurations. So just configure this and hit on save. The other services are that in description, you'll have to just give the description, which I already highlighted about. And you will also tell about the authentication, which has to look into the local user repository. And in roles, there is nothing for you to configure. And then enforcement, you'll just have the authentication source that is matched to the particular repository. So you also have to specify the enforcement policy as .1x authentication policy. So make sure you just specify all these information and hit on save. So once you hit on save, your service should be updated here. And initially, when you create a service, it should be at the bottom somewhere here. So make sure you reorder the services and it's at the top. And only then when there is a request from the client, it will hit this service. So now I'm logged in into my 6400 chassis switch, and these are the commands that I have executed on the switch side. So just to save time, I've already executed these commands. And the first one is nothing but the Radius configuration. And you will specify the management IP address of the ClearPass that you're connecting to. And you'll also have to specify a plain text and a password. The next one is the AAA authentication. And here we will be enabling the .1x authentication. So once you tell that, you'll also have to pass this command called AA authentication, mac-auth enable. So make sure you just pass these three commands in the switch side. So here in my 6400 switch, I have 1/3/1 interface where I have connected my end client. So we'll have to create a port access role for the end client. So for creating a user role access, you'll have to create a VLAN. Say you can create a VLAN of your choice, and I'm just assigning the command port access role client role, because we are just defining what role the client will be taking here. So the next step will be getting into that particular interface where your end device is connected and enable .1x authentication here. So once you enable 802.1x authentication in the ports that is connected to the end clients, we'll have to just make a small toggling on that particular interface where the end clients are connected. So only then you will be able to see it in the ClearPass. You'll be able to see the requests hitting ClearPass. So we'll just have a look on that. So here in the ClearPass, if you see my radius server is getting, the radius service is getting hit using the mac-auth kit service, and the login status is accept. And this is the management IP that we are trying to hit to. So here the service is accepted. And in the access tracker, so all these details I had shown it from the access tracker, which is under the monitoring tab. So once you click on monitoring and enter into this access tracker tab, you can see all the details regarding any switch that has contacted the ClearPass. So just for your, just for your identification and to make sure that the clients are up, so I have issued this command show AA authentication port access of whichever interface you are using and the client status. So if you can see here the client status in that particular port, it says that the MAC authentication is enabled and authenticated. And you also can see that the authorization details that the status is applied for the particular role that you have enabled in ClearPass. So that is how you configure port authentication using Radius server in ClearPass. Thank you.